If you're in the chat, you can say hello before we start. I'm just waiting for a few for people to join us. So I'm just waiting for more people to join before we start. We're just waiting for more people before we start. We're just waiting for more people to join before we start. Okay, so let's get started. So, how many of us here is familiar with Figma? If you are not familiar with Figma, you can just post an emoji icon and then we start. Make a show of hands if you are familiar with Figma. Make a show of hands if you are not familiar with Figma. So today we are going to be diving into Figma, and Figma is a design tool that we use to make interesting interfaces, right? So we're talking about user interfaces and all like that. So today we are going to be looking at Figma to as a form of as a design tool to help deliver our interface. Okay, so let me just go over the website shortly, and then we are going to try and understand the different tools in Figma. Though it's just for a beginner class, so I'm not going to go in-depthly. It's just so that something that is something a video that you can easily watch and try and get an idea of what to start building with. So like I said, Figma is a design tool and it helps you to design, or it brings development teams together to bring to build great product. What does this mean? This means that you can, unlike other softwares where you are only just one person working in that design tool, right? This one now you can be two, three, four, five, six, 10, even up to 100 people, and you all can come together to collaborate together and edit that same um design. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part now is, so let me just go over like um the second part is that is a tool that you can easily to do interface design. And then the third most interesting part is the fact that you can make your what's it called, you can make your design come to life through what we call prototyping or prototype in Figma. Okay, so if you look at this snapshot now, right, you see like a couple of hands are moving simultaneously, meaning that um people can collaborate with each other, right? And then they have other tools. So you have your design tool, you have your build tool. So your build tool is for developers. So once you've done your interface design, your developers now can um go over to the build tool and then start inspecting the elements to see how they can convert it to code. Okay, then you also have Jam is very interesting because like it's a place where you can brainstorm or listen to music, do whatever stuff, right? But basically it's usually for brainstorming different projects, right? Think of it like your sketchbook, okay, but on your device. So that's what you do there. And then you have like the new most recent feature that they just launched, which is the present feature, meaning instead of like doing your design and then still having to go to like PowerPoint, Microsoft Office to do your presentations, you can now do them in Figma. But it's not necessary to use this one, it's just one of the add-ons. The annoying part now is that they are forcing people to like pay for all this stuff, whereas we don't really use them. Please, you guys should post comment in the chat section so I can be sure that you guys are following before I go to the next thing. Thank you. Okay, let me move on. So if you scroll down a little bit, so you can see that these are like different features that Figma has. Auto layout, so you can generate simple UI using the Figma AI tool. Oh, somebody said which one is for playing music. Like it's a widget that you can actually bring inside to play music. It's inside the Jam tool, like Jam, right? So if you look at this play, like you can see this sticker here where you can play music right inside the design tool. So while you are collaborating, you can actually be enjoying yourselves, right, with your teammates doing something like this. Okay, so now the next thing is, let's talk about a couple of features, right? Functionality that you can actually, once you have your idea, you can speak with the AI to generate a design. It makes it interesting, but that one now you have to pay for it. You have to pay um for you have to pay as a collaborator, right, before you can have access to the AI tool. Then the next one is they have auto layout. So we will not go in depth into auto layout. We'll just see just a little sample of what auto layouts we can do. So I'm going to take a screenshot of my WhatsApp to try and create a wireframe out of it, because that's like the main learning point. Like, so you have to also understand how to use Figma, and then understand how to create wireframe in the course of this video, right? So the next thing is you can also scale element instantly. Scaling is sometimes very difficult in many design tools, but when it comes to Figma, you can select multiple elements at once, and then it gets to scale across board, right? And then you can still make prototype, like I said, but even you can even make prototype with AI now in Figma. And then you can also put your whatever design you made, can place it into the presentation slide. Okay, so I guess that's like pretty much it. Every other thing is a little bit more advanced, right? So let's not talk about that. So we've seen enough about this. Now, how do you create an account in Figma if you are new to Figma? All you just need to do is click on get started for free, and then you can put your email, right? When you click on continue email, just follow the process till it takes you to a page, right? But I'm already using Figma already, so I'm just going to click on continue to Figma. So you can see it has authenticated me to do the design, right? So if you are new, it should probably take you to somewhere like this. So you can have like, so this is my draft page now. So if you have not paid, I think you to take it to your draft page like this. So what you just need to do is come to the top right where you see create new. So you want to click on that and click on design file. Notice you have like four features here. You have design file, fig Jamboard. You can't really hear me well. Let me see. Because I think I'm talking at my loudest like this. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me better now? I think I'm talking at my loudest like this. Okay, so I'm going to click on design file like so. So now that I have my design file, the first thing you see is it will say welcome to your draft page, right? And for now, let me just dismiss this, right? So here you have you can name your file. So you have to click on it like this in order to name your file. And then if you see this other one, if I click on it, it shows me more menu. So I can see the version history, I can see export, I can create a branch. So version history, create a branch, those are advanced things to talk about. Color profile is also advanced, but you will most likely not use it except absolutely necessary. But most of the time, like you never even need to even come to like touch any of these settings, right? Even using all of these items here, you probably not do any of them. You will do it somewhere else. Okay, so now moving forward, here now we have these two tabs here. So we have your file, and then you have your assets. So Figma comes with three assets loaded already, and it is one of them is owned by Apple, one of those assets is owned by um what's it called, by Google, and the third one is owned by Figma themselves, right? So all of these are different components, but we used to call them UI kits, right? So there are different components that you can use to fast track your design process. Okay, because some of these things are just more of like repetitive processes, right? So because of that now, I think my voice is high because I have another machine here that I'm using for like feedback and all, and I can hear myself clearly. So I don't know. Let me raise my voice a little bit more. Okay, so now, like I was saying, um Then you have this little library icon here, right? So if you click on this library icon, you'll be able to see this menu. And then if you are using a paid account, you have access to seeing more items in your library. And why do we use libraries? That the reason why we use libraries, because sometimes you have like two different files, and you want them to like communicate with each other. Okay, because of that, that's why we make use of library. And let me show you an example. So there's a project we're working on at the moment. So if you look at this place now, you can see all of these items here. Just pay attention, like just follow my mouse. Look at all of these items here, right? So if you look at all of these items here like this now, if you notice, I'm not using it inside this file. Okay, I'm not using the items inside this file, but in this other file here, in this other file now, right, I'm using it here, like all of the settings. I'm using it all of the settings here. So that's why we have library, when you want like two or more files to communicate with each other. Okay, because sometimes Figma can get so heavy if you create everything in one single file. So you always want to like separate some of those things so that your file will not be too heavy for you to work with. Okay, so now back to this point here. So that is why we make use of library. Okay, so by default Figma has like a universal library, which is these three items that they provide for you. All right, so now I'm just going to go online to get a snapshot of, let me see. So I'll do Pinterest. So I'll go to Pinterest to get, I'm just going to go to Pinterest to get WhatsApp mobile. Let me see. Oh, you know what? Instead of going there, let me go to the place and I'll definitely find it. I'm going to go to, so this is an example of an inspiration website, or this is an inspiration website. So mobi.com, and then I'm going to search for WhatsApp. Okay, let me use my other paid account. I'm trying to look for WhatsApp messages. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'll come up with this. Okay, so now this is WhatsApp. Okay, I'm going to also, okay, I think I'm good like this. So now this is WhatsApp, right? So we are going to be creating the wireframe of WhatsApp. But before we go on to that, so I'm going to switch over back to file. So you see this point here, right? Let me give you one hack very quickly. So you can have like if you are using free account, you can only have 3 pages. Okay, but because I'm using a paid account, that's why I can create multiple pages. All right, so that's the first thing to know. Then now, with having this one here now, okay, you can also set like a divider just by, so I'm going to go, but let's say I want to add a divider in between page 1 and page 2, right? I can simply rename, let's say I rename page 2 by putting 2 minus like this and press enter. So you can see it has given me this straight line divider, and sometimes it's a nice to have, right? So then the next thing is, so usually the reason I usually have this thing, like I used to have something we call cover. Okay, cover like this. So if I go back to my draft now, you can see the way it's looking here, but you can see the way this one is looking here, right? So this is actually like a thumbnail, just like your YouTube thumbnail. Please, if you are following, let me know. Can just like post a comment, right? So mobbing is an inspiration tool where you find websites that already exist already. Please, if you are still following, please message me. Okay, so inspiration of like website apps that already exist already to guide you to designing something that is not out of this world, right? Because the thing is, you want to make sure that when you're doing user interface design, you want something grounded, and you always want a reference. Like my friend will always say the quality of your reference will determine the quality of your design. Okay, so without having quality reference, you will not have a quality um design. Okay, so, and that's the reason why. So now, if me going back now is like this now. So in order to have this thumbnail, yeah, in order to have this thumbnail here now, what I can simply do is I can just create a frame here. So frame is the way we start in design. If you are used to like any design tool, they always have like a starting point, whether it's a rectangle or a circle or this thing. But in Figma, we start with frame. Frame is the element that we use to do the base of all our designs. So I'm going to select frame, right? And then immediately you click on frame, on this right hand side here, so we call this part the property section, and then this part we call it the layer section. So on this left we call it the layer section, and then on this extreme right we call it the property section. And this one is called property section is because that is where you do all your settings, right? And then the layer is where you see all the arrangements of your design. So if I pull this one this way and I say 1920 1080, like so, okay, and I place this one somewhere in the middle around here, and just a little bit of stroke, then around those corners, like so, and then I right click, then I say set as thumbnail. So if I go back and click here now, so you can see thumbnail set. If I click on this place here now, you will see that it has changed, right? So that way it's easy for you to find your related designs. Okay, so that's the first thing to know, because you have to always like make sure you keep your designs. So for the purpose of this class, I'm not going to talk about local variables because it is very advanced, right? So in a later class we'll discuss local variables. Local styles is um a little bit as advanced as local variables, so we are not going to talk about it today. In a later class we are going to talk about how to use local styles. Okay, so but the essence is that, imagine you have this page here now, right? So imagine you have this page here, in your WhatsApp you have like maybe 15 charts or 16 charts, right? And then you have to like be selecting color for each of them one after the other. It will take forever. What if there's a way that you can just select the set a color once and then you just keep remembering, right? That is what local styles is all about. So in a later class we'll dedicate a class to talk about local styles. We dedicate another class to talk about local variables, right? Though again you have to be using paid plan to be able to access local variables. If you are not using a paid plan, you don't have local styles. The reason I'm able to have access to this thing is because I am a certified Figma educator. All right, so that is why I'm able to do some of these things. So if you are restricted, we are just going to skip it, or you can just practice with somebody that has um someone that has, right? But when you guys are graduating, I'll only give one person, just one person, the best performing student, a free student account plan that they can use, just one person. So keep attending the classes, and you may not know, you may just be the lucky person that I'll decide to give the free education student education plan, right, to be able to use all the features in Figma except the AI, because they believe that you're a student, so you using AI is like stealing. So that is that about that. Okay. So now moving forward, we have this. Okay. In order to create this, let's break it down into a wireframe. But before we do that, let's just look at the other properties here. So here we have the toolbar, right? In this place, we have the move tool, we have the hand tool, and we have the scale tool. So I mostly use what's it called now? I mostly use keyboard shortcuts for all of this stuff. Okay. So now if you look at this here, if you look at this, I mostly use the keyboard shortcuts, right? So we have the arm to the scale to we have the frame. If you click on this arrow, you can see we have frame, section, slice. Why don't we talk about section, or maybe we'll look at a little bit at it, just see what it does, right? We have the slice. So then in this one, this is where you have all your shapes set, rectangle, line, arrow, ellipse, polygon, star, image, or video. You have your pen tool, right? Yeah, you have your text tool, you have your comments tool, and then you have your actions. Okay, in your actions now, you have access to assets, and you have access to plugins. There's a whole lot of plugins in Figma, and plugins is like a way of giving yourself superpower. Say for example, you want to design an icon, you don't need to go and start designing icon from scratch. If you know the plugin name, right, you can literally generate your icons, right? So look at this now. There's like a whole lot of icons in this um plugin name, right? And I can just click and drag to bring my icon into view. Where do you go? Yeah, this is it. Okay, so I can just click my icon to bring it into view, right? So those are like the good part. Now let's just like try and practicalize some of these tools very quickly. So first thing first is we have the hand tool, right? The move tool. Okay, so that's this to select and drag all over the board. We have the hand tool. So the hand tool is just a way to like um pan your canvas. Okay, so I can just quickly pan like this. So again, another way to do it is that you can hold control and scroll with the scroll wheel, like push the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in or zoom out. Okay, so you can also hold space bar. So you can also hold space bar to quickly get what's it called? So H is like permanent, right? So H is like permanent and right. While spacebar is just temporary. So I mostly use the H because many of the time I don't want to do permanent. I'm always using my scroll bar, right? And so when you're using your scroll bar, you also use your middle mouse wheel. You press it down. You are not scrolling this time around. You're just pressing it down. So that's why, like, if you are using touchpad, there's a different way to go about it. But if you are using external mouse, because I use an external mouse, I also have a touchpad. So depending on, so I have on my left hand is my touchpad, on my right hand side, on my right hand is my mouse, and then I still have a drawing pen. Okay, so I have a drawing tablet that I use. That one is literally in front of my keyboard, and then my keyboard is in the middle of everything. So that's the way I work. Maybe one of these I'll snap my decks so you guys to see what I mean. Okay, so now then again, you can also zoom out and zoom in by holding control to quickly zoom out and zoom in. Okay, so so you're using control. So if you're using a Mac, you would command. If you're using Windows, you would control and then just use your scroll wheel to either zoom in or zoom out. All right, so that's one on that side. Now the next thing you need to know is that we have the scale tool. I love this scale tool. Why? Because if I select this, I hit K, I can scale by any number. The only issue I have right now is that when you are scaling, you cannot set the stroke. The stroke will keep increasing. So I was even thinking of creating like a plugin to fix that problem. So if you look at this now, if I press enter once, you can see this is set to 1.5. However, if I increase the scale like this now and I close this, you will see that the number has changed to 6.5, whereas I still want it to be set to be 1.5. Okay, so that's the issue. But this scaling tool will save you a lot of headache. So sometimes you will want to design websites, a mobile app, uh and then the different sizes between the mobile app and the desktop app will be different. Do you understand? So because of that, you have to be scaling and reducing. So when I started before, I usually like redesign it again from beginning, which was like punishment until somebody told me that Figma has actually did done the tool rather, that you can use to scale in, scale out, right? And it has saved me a lot of headache. So that's that about that one. All right. And then the next one now is, so we talked about the first section. The second section now, we have frame, we have section, and we have slice, right? So if you want to do any design at all in Figma, you use frame as the background. Okay, because we have this unlimited canvas, right? And then we use frame as your background. Okay, so even so, if and that's why if I click on press F, like you can see that this is different mobile devices here, right? So I'm just going to use iPhone 14 or iPhone 15 Pro. No, let me see. Yeah, iPhone 16 is okay. So I use iPhone 16. In the course of this entire class, I'm going to use iPhone 16 as a demo, right? So this is how you do it. So you have your frame here, okay? So now we also have section. So section, where section is interesting, that you can use it to clean up your file or categorize elements. What do I mean? So if I select all of this, I bring it down, you can see I have my section here, right? Section 1. Also, another advantage of section is that when you are prototyping, okay, when you are prototyping, you can create more a sequence that is different items. You can create different screens inside so this is what I mean. Like I can create a screen 1, a screen 2, screen 3, screen 4, screen 5, screen 6, right? I can create it inside this app, this section here, right? And then I can create on maybe another sequence, right? So sequence is like the concurrent images, right? So I can create these other images here like this, like so. Okay, so thereby having such thereby I'm able to transfer or connect different flows together. I know all of these are sounding complex and all, but in the course of the classes, I'll be breaking them down. What is a flow and so on and so forth. Okay. So, but the essence is that the major reason why we use it is because it helps us to have a very clean and well put together design file. So, where we use slice is sometimes you just want to send, maybe you are designing something, then you want to just send a quick snapshot to somebody. So instead of sending the entire file, like this entire file now, right, you can just do a slice. Okay, so you will rarely use it, but it's just important you know it, right? So with this slice now, if I select this one and I click on export and I export it as PNG, okay, so I'm just going to open, where do you go? Okay, so notice that it is only where the slice is, right? That is the only thing that gets exported. So that's the advantage of slice. That's all. Then on to the next thing now. So that's slice for you. So the next one is your pen tool. So you have your pen tool, right, for drawing different points across the screen, and then you also have your pencil, right, for writing basically. But one thing I like about Figma is that you notice how, like, as you're trying to write, it tries to like smoothing things out. All right, Unlike other design tools that they'll just leave it for you like that, the way it is like that. Okay, so it tries to smoothen things out easily. So that's why I like the pen tool. So now moving forward, the pen and the pencil tool, and Figma's pen tool is like the best of all designs I've used so far. Their pen tool is the best. That was one of the things that got me hooked anyways into using their tool. So now the next thing now is we've figured that one out. The next one is comments. There are multiple ways in which you can do comments. So if you press backslash on your keyboard, right, you can comment on the fly. So if you are like two or three on the fly, you're working together, right, you can just drop these comments while you are still designing, and then it fades away. So those are like quick comments. So I usually use this to like, guy, how far now? Oh, hello, how are you doing? Okay, where are we now? Something like that. Okay, so that is the beauty of using, what's it called now? That's one of the beauty of using on Figma, right? The Figma comment tool. And then you can also again like leave a comment by selecting this and leaving a comment like hello, right? And you press enter, right? Also, you can, if you are working with someone, you can tag somebody by clicking on this add symbol, and then you can tag the person or just type the add by yourself, right? So you can see this, and then you can even like just type out, and if you know the other person that's collaborating, you can just tag the person. Okay, you can also add pictures to it. So let's say I left a comment here like this now, right? And mind you, this comment now, the more you collaborate with people, right, the more this comment to be a lot on your screen, and you will not want to be seeing it while you are designing, but you don't want to take it, you don't want it to delete it. What do? You press Ctrl C or right click and hide the comment. So okay, Shift C in my keyboard. So just right click, you can right click to hide the comment like this. Okay, so if I want to see the comment back, I just press Shift C and then I can see the comments. Okay, or I can, better still, I can click on this to see the comment and then reply. Okay, or it's supposed to also the, or I can click on this here and I can see the comments here too. So whichever one that is comfortable by you. All right, so next thing is this one here. So when you click on this one now, you have all, so different things you are doing, okay, as well as your assets, and then as well as your plugins. So your assets are maybe the library you've added, right, that Figma gave you, or the other items that you're using from other files, right? Or asset items that you've set as a component. In another class, we'll talk about what component is. So we'll discuss component and styles in the next class. Okay. So now, if you look at this now, with the final point is the build tool. Remember when I was showing you the home page of, when I was showing you the home page of Figma. So the way I'm zooming in and zooming out is I'm using a control on my keyboard and then my scroll wheel. So I'm either scrolling down or scrolling down or scrolling up, using the my middle mouse button, right? So let me show you. um yeah, so please give me a second. Okay, so this is what I mean by the scroll wheel. You can see the scroll wheel here, right? So I'm using control and then I'm scrolling down or up. Okay, so that's the scroll wheel. Okay, so now when I'm done with my comment, I will just click on this check mark and it is gone. Okay, but it's not deleted though. If you want to delete it, you click on comment, you filter, go to show resolve comment, and then now you can delete thread. And now it's telling you that if you delete it here, you cannot recover it again, right? So be sure about that. But most of the time when we are designing, we don't used to like delete any comment at all. We used to leave it alone till the end of that design. The only thing that we'll just check that okay, this comment here has been resolved. Okay. So now the next thing is the build part, right? So the build is what the developers see when it's time for them to use it. Okay, so how do you do that? So we have this tool here that is called developer mode, but it's also known as the build tool, right? So if I click on this developer mode now, okay, you can see I have to upgrade before I can make use of this developer mode. So that's why it's not allowing me to make use of this. But you notice all of this text here on this right hand side, right? Selection colors and so on and so forth. So all of these items here are elements that you can use to that you can pass over to developers, right? And those are what developers are going to write in their own code. Okay, so we've gotten the hang of that part. Okay, then in another class we are going to talk about prototype. So we are going to see how we can do a quick prototype, any kind of design prototype. So we're just going to do something very simple and straightforward. Okay, so we have design, we have prototype. Nice. Now then the next thing that we now need to figure out now is how then do we what's the word, how then do we create something that we can use as a starting point for brainstorming. That is where we have the wireframe. Now, let me talk a little bit about the design process before I end into jump into the wireframe. Now, let's say you figured out what the problem is based off of, remember the last time we talked about like you do your research, and then based off of research now you do analysis of that research, right? So the analysis will be through the different maps I talked about: affinity map, empathy map, right? So you broken it down that okay, this is the actual problem statement. So all of those things I just talked about is still your first stage, right? So you are trying to identify when you are trying to do research and identify what the problem is, and then in the second stage you are now defining that okay, oh, this is the actual problem. Now even when you have like an actual problem now, okay, there are more than 10, there will be probably more than 10, 15, 20 ways of solving that problem. Do you understand? So that's where you get to like the prototyping phase. So after you've defined the problem, like, okay, this is the problem. After the define stage, the next stage that goes into it is now the ideation stage. So the ideation stage is the point where you are asking possible questions like, okay, how might we solve this problem? And then there are so many ideas that is going to drop out at you, right? So this, yeah, at that point usually before you even go and start designing now, at that point usually you can have like 10, 15 solutions that come to your head, right? And then there's another kind of analysis you usually do when you have about 10 to 15 solutions. The bottom line is that shall filter out everyone that is irrelevant, right? And then take maybe one or two marks that is very, very important, that you know that okay, this is a very good starting point to start drawing up the design. Okay, and when you are drawing up the design now, you are not going to have something as refined as this. Okay, what you are going to have are just rectangles, basically rectangles and circle, and you see what I mean. Those rectangles and circle are what we refer to as low fidelity wireframe. So we have high fidelity design and then low fidelity. So low fidelity is like what is the base work of the layout of the text or of the item that is going to go into place, right? That people can easily relate with and understand. Okay, so based off of that, now you soon see that you will not get to see that you have you now get to see that we have wireframe, and then we now have paper prototype. So meaning that you can do a sketch on paper, right? And it can function as your wireframe. Let me see whether I can share my table. My table is a bit messy right now, but I just want you guys to see um when I'm doing my design, right? So I don't usually like jump into Figma like many people. I still do like a lot of sketches, and this is why I do a lot of sketches. Like, even that's why I find that I've defined exactly this is the problem I have, right? I'm still going to try and brainstorm in sketches to see which one I can solve here. Give me a second. Prism inlets. Okay. Okay. Please just a second. I'm trying to share my, yeah, okay. So you can see, okay, let me bring. Okay, so you can see my screen now. So you can see that I have like sketches, different sketches here on my paper, right? So different sketches. Can you see it? So I just have like multiple sketches. I'm just sketching all the way, trying to figure out okay what leads into one thing and so on and so forth. Like this I'm designing now is for a framer plugin that I'm building presently. So like this I just sketch. I know it's rough, but like I'm the only one that understand. But you can always make it cleaner, right? Depending on who you want to give the design to also review while you are doing that. Okay. All right. So that's not about that, right? So we are going to be trying out something like that, but on Figma. Okay. So sometimes once I've done my sketch in Figma, right, and I need to like make it look nicer. So many people used to ask me that you are saying low fidelity prototype, high fidelity prototype. What is the difference? Now, when we say we have fidelity, fidelity simply means the level of refinement. And let me give example. If you take cocoa from the farm, you say that okay, that cocoa now is in its raw form, right? You now take the cocoa to the manufacturer and then the manufacturer processes it, and then you will say, oh, okay, the cocoa now is in its powdery form, and then from its powdery form now they tend to like mix it with other stuff that will later become either coffee, beverages, chocolate, and so on and so forth. So all of those stages, right, are the same thing as what fidelity. So when you're looking at what is the low fidelity, means that what is still very bare, rather bare. It's still very bare. It's not really that sharp. It's just um it's just to get the idea out there first. Because many people, you see, the problem is that our brain, the way our brain is designed, that we not many people, like even in 100% of all the human beings that exist, the only people that can multitask probably like maybe 3 or 4%. Every other person that say they are multitasking, no, they are not multitasking, they are switching between two tasks. So now, because when we are thinking, we need to we in order to get the best ideas out there, right? We need to think not just fast, we need to jot things down very fast, because once our mind gets to that point where we want to start thinking and all, we are at that point where our mind is no longer in is no longer thinking about two or three or four or five things at the same time. We just want to focus on just that one single thing. So it's a way of like, that's why like paper sketches are like shorthand to just quickly get out the idea. Like you just want to push the idea out there. You don't want to wait, because if you wait for the idea to be fully refined, you will just find out that you are lost. Do you understand? You just find out that you are lost and you have not gotten anything impactful. So that is the reason why you want to make sure that you start out with wireframe. Many people will tell you that don't do wireframe, it's a waste of time. Just go and do your high fidelity design and you are good to go. High fidelity design is what you are seeing right now, right? This WhatsApp screen you are seeing is what you are seeing right now. But how will you do high fidelity for something you don't even have idea, something you have not seen before? How do you do high fidelity design for that kind of thing, right? That is where the problem is. But if you already have like, oh, okay, maybe some people, people are different. Like me now, if I envision something and I don't like sketch it out and everything, there's no magic I can do. I can never get it done in high fidelity. And some people, is in their dream that they will see the high fidelity and then they will come and do it inside Figma direct, no time wasted, right? But for me now, I cannot do it. So that's why like people are different. Do you understand? It's not a matter of like skill level. Even the difference between a junior designer and a senior designer is that one have eyes, the other one doesn't have eyes. That's all. Because is the more you build your eyes for design, right, the more the quality of your design, like, because the thing is, you have to get to a stage where you keep refining your design. You can refine your design over and over and over and over again, right? So until you say, okay, okay, this design is good for the public, right? So if the design is not good for the public, some people, that the people that not have eyes now, that low quality design that they've done is what they feel like is good for the public, and then they push it out there, and then they start getting a lot of backlash and so on and so forth, a lot of complaints from users, right? And we've talked about, like, we don't want users to complain, we want users to be highly motivated, we want users to be excited that they're using our product, right? So these are the things that goes into place. Now let's jump right into designing this, right? So this now, it's a screenshot, is a iOS design, right? So for people using Apple, congratulations. This is how it looks like on Apple phone. If you are not using Apple, I don't know what you are using. I don't know what you're getting. But so now, let me quickly go over something. Maybe I should I don't I'm not sure I should say it in this class. But whenever you take a screenshot, like, sometimes, because if you are looking for inspiration, you can take screenshot on your phone, right, and paste inside Figma. If you are using iPhone, and maybe you are using iPhone 16 Pro Max, iPhone 15 Pro Max, iPhone 14 Pro Max, always make sure that you divide it by 2, please. So you divide it by 2, or sorry, not even by 2, you divide it by 3, like this. So this will give you the correct scale. Okay, so when you take a screenshot from your phone and you want to do the same in Figma, you divide it by 3. When you are doing handover to your developer, you tell them to multiply the design by 3. But most of them, they usually already have experience already, so they know that they are supposed to multiply the design by 3. The reason why we don't design at by 3 is because, let me show you. If I write out this text now, 9.4, 9.41, right, and I zoom in and I scale it up, you can see I'm using the scale tool by pressing K on my keyboard. So what I'm pressing now is I'm holding shift and option in Windows is alternate. So I'm using shift and alternate together just to scale it up like this. Do you see the numbers? This is the entering 41, in fact 42. Okay, Kazim Ahmed, I see you. So you can see this is already this is 942, right? And you can see it. So this is very, very big. But if I do the same here, right, I can have it as, where do you go? Okay, so if you see it, like, if you notice, it feels like that taking up a whole lot of space, right? This is the reason why we always divide it by 3. Even when you go to, like, read the documentation website, because the thing is, when you are doing design too for a platform, they usually have documents that you have to read. You will read and internalize it. So if you are designing a MacBook app, you need to go and read the books and the rules and regulation on how to design for a MacBook before you go and start designing a goosey, like my friend will always say, before you go and start designing rubbish. Now, what do you mean by, how do you pick the blank form? Okay, can anybody hear me? So if you want to get this thing, press F for your keyboard, or you come over here to this place here and click on frame, and you see the list. So the one I'm using right now is iPhone 16. Okay, so that's how you get your frame on the keyboard, from your keyboard. So now the next thing now is, for me to now do all of this. So when you're designing, usually you don't need to put this first part, okay, because it's like there's already a template for you already. So if I come over to asset now and I click on this, right, I can just look for the name, right, but I don't know the name of handle, so I usually search for it all the time, which is actually very annoying. I think should be, let me check phone. Okay, navigation. So you can see this one now. This is navigation here. Then I can just turn off every other thing that I don't need. Yeah, just this one alone. Just ignore what I'm doing. I'm just doing this one for demonstration purposes. So you can see like there's already a template for it. So I'm not, and there's a rule in design, right, or UX design, like please don't reinvent the wheel. It's not necessary. You don't need it. Okay, don't reinvent the wheel. It doesn't make any sense for you to be designing this one. They've done it for you already. Don't stress it, right? Okay, I just want to match the scale properly. So this is saying 402. So I think if I press F on my keyboard, there's one of them that should be 402. Okay, iPhone 16 Pro. So just to match it properly, right? So I'm going to put this one here, set align to top. Okay, so let's delete this one. So we have this one like this. All right, so based on having this one now, the next thing is if you want to create this now, so you can see where we have like your three dots and all of these things, right? So when you're trying to brainstorm, you will know that you probably have your text and then you have like your rectangles, which is what we usually use. So what we just do is you press R for rectangle, or you come over here, click on it, and then click on rectangle. Okay, so I'm used to shortcut. So again, you always want to have like enough contrast. So what do we mean by contrast? Meaning that your elements and your background, or your foreground element now. So this is your foreground element, like is in the front, and your background element is what is at the back, right? So what you have in front like this now is what you can use to, what's the word now? So what you have in front now is what you can use as your element. So make sure that there's enough color, there's enough color difference, right? Which is what we refer to as contrast, such that you're able to see it clearly. Okay, so you can have this one here like this, and then because you are brainstorming, right, it doesn't have to be perfect, because some people now they will be doing, aiming for perfection. It's not needed. You don't need it. You just want to make sure that you fleshed out the idea basically. Okay, so in this case now I have this one here. I have my text, so this is what I'm going to use as my text. So but when you are doing text, there's another way of doing it in wireframe style that works. So if I click on charts, but you have to like install the font. Okay, I can come over here to this typography, and I think it should be flow, yeah. So it's called flow block. So you have to download it on your system. Okay, so if you use this flow block, so you have access to this flow block, and then you can use like the correct font sizes, right, like 24 now. Okay, then again I can match the color. So if you want to make use of the color picker, I will just press I, or you can press Ctrl C on your keyboard to sample this color. Can you see it? So I can take this one out, I can put my text here. Are we together now? Then the next thing, if you notice, I have three icons here. So I'm just going to bring this rectangle and place it here, this one next to it, and press Command D. So the good thing is that what I like about Figma is that once you've copied once, you can just keep pressing Command D all the way, and it will give you this. Okay, so that's why I like using Figma. Then again, when you are doing your design, yeah, I said flow box. So if you select this, you see, so we have flow box, we have flow circular. So I selected flow circular. Okay, so you have this one here, right? Then obviously you want to make it like very visible, so you have this one. Okay, now when you are doing your design, make sure that you have your grid turned on. So how do you turn on your grid in Figma? If I select this one, I can come over to layout grid like this, click on this one, change it to columns. On mobile you use 4 columns. Yes, Command D is for duplicate. If you are using Windows, it is Control D. So please, anytime I say command, I'm saying the same thing as control for people that are using Windows. Okay, so now if I click on this one, I'm going to click on this tiny icon here. On mobile, we set the number of count. So this one, just memorize it. It's not that deep. It's, we set number of count to 4 pixels. Now you see your margin. Your margin is the space between all your columns and the edge of the phone. So let me give you an example. Let me go and look for iPhone screenshots for you guys. Uh, iPhone screenshots. Yeah. So you see the reason why we usually use margin now. So if I paste this one here, so this is your iPhone screen. Now remember this design that we did here. Okay. If you do a design like this, if you take this icon and you put it on the edge like this, now if you put it on the edge, what you've simply done is you've taken this item and then you've placed it in this edge here. You've placed it in this edge like this. See, you place it like this. So what will that mean automatically? It will mean that half of your design no go show, or half of your design will not show. This is what we'll be showing. So that's why we always account for that space. Okay, and the minimum space that is there is 12. Are we together? The minimum space that is there is 12. Then you just start increasing it. But that's why like you have to be following up with like latest phone updates. So that when you are designing, you know, because now I think now they've reduced it again. They usually reduce from iPhone 4 to iPhone 16. They've reduced it from like 24 to 16. Okay. So now meaning that now with this design here now, so let me undo it now. So with this design here now, you need to set a margin. So I'm going to come over here and say this, I'll put my margin on 16. So please, on mobile, the lowest you should go should be 16. Okay, if it's not 16, leave it alone. So I'm going to pick this one here now and put this one here. Now we also have what we call margin. Margin is the space, sorry, not margin, gutter. Gutter is the space between two columns. So you see this empty space between two columns, that is what we call gutter. So if I click on this one, I can manipulate my gutter to here, right? So I can make it 8 pixels like this. So your gutter can change depending on the kind of element you are working with. But because of the kind of element we are working with, we don't actually even need any of these things. We only need, what we need actually is just one column. Because if you look at it, this is just, if I use my rectangle, this is just on a straight line, right? So using a cut is when maybe I have like, I want to put like two cards here. Okay, so like if you look at your financial app now, or finance app, let me go back to Mobin. Which finance app do I know? Evolute. So if you look at your financial app now, you can see that you can draw like a straight line between them. Give me a second, please. So if you notice, you can draw like a straight line between them. And what do I mean by a straight line? That do you see how you have this one here? So let me put it inside a frame. Then I need to scale it down first. Divided by 3. Then now, if I set up my layout grid like this, no, you are not meant to divide it by 2. You just have to divide it by the grid, right? Not as if you are dividing by 2. I'm only doing this one like if you are creating your frame, it's already preset for you. I already explained, see, like when you watch this video again, you see it. If I click on this, I can set this one to, so my size now, make sure that this is on column. Okay, then your margin has to be 16, so you can be between 16 and 36. Okay, so whatever you use there, so I'm going to set this one to 16 like this. I just want you guys to see something. Notice that you can see that they are using 16 on the dot, and then you can see that now these items here, they have a place they are filling. So if I change the count, I can reduce the count to 4, right? And then I know that for a fact this gutter now is like around 8 pixels. Do you see it now? So this is when you use all these kind of grid. But if you know that what you are doing is just one single straight line, right? There's no need to set your count to 2 or 4, right? So it's whatever interface. That's why I used to say that just try and put out the idea there first, and then once you put out the idea first, you are able to now start adjusting this thing. But I'm also adding this one as a bonus section, so that you can I'm also adding this as a bonus section so that you can understand some of the ways in which we design to make like a very clean design. Okay, so the next section now is this point here, where you have your image, your text and all like that. So how do you structure that? So I'm just going to draw one box like this, place it here. Okay, place it here, and then the next thing is obviously your text. So I'm going to put this one here again, and then you have like other bunch of text, right? So this one I can put like gibberish like this, and then place this one around here. Then if you notice the scale compared to this one, the weight is smaller, right? So I can always adjust just this one alone. So I can say 24, and then I can make it left align like this, or 16. Okay, so can you see this now? So this is how you can have like very nice and neat wireframe. Okay, so next thing is I can take this one and then make it rounded. Now when you're working with images in wireframe, so so the way I'm putting the rectangles is I'm actually using keyboard shortcuts, right? So I select this one and then drag on the screen. That's all. That's how I'm putting the rectangles. But like once you're used to it, you can just use shortcut. So you can see that if I switch my shortcut, if I press V, this one gets highlighted. If I press F, this one gets highlighted. If I press R, this one gets highlighted. If I press P, this one gets highlighted. If I press T, this one gets highlighted. If I press C, this one gets highlighted. Right? I don't know the shortcut for this one. So but like these are all the ones I usually use from year to year, right? Most of the time. So now when you have this now, the interest about Figma is that you can use frame multiple times. So that's why if I have this rectangle, because I want to do something else to the rectangle, now I also like use what we call radius. So if you want to make your rectangle rounded, you need to apply radius. How do you find radius? So the first thing is you can either take your mouse, select your item first, take your mouse to the edge and drag, right, to pick the radius. Or you can come over to this place and then drag it all the way to also pick your radius. Okay, so the image is supposed to be like a square, so 80 80, like so, right, to make it look like circle. You can also make use of circle here, right? That's called ellipse. Okay, if you want to. All right, so now that you have this one now, the interesting about Figma is that if you have an element, you can still wrap a frame around it like a container, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to right click and then do frame selection. Okay, so now that I've framed the selection, now I will now use my pen tool by pressing P, right? And then I just want to measure the height. So this is 80, right? So I'm going to make this one 80, like so. Then if you look at this point here, you can see that you have your degree, but this is actually functioning as a rotation. So I'm going to drag it all the way like this, so like minus 45 degree or 45 degree, like this. Okay, so I'm going to drag it and place it inside it like so. So it should be at the edge. Okay, then I can double click on it like this, click on it and stretch all the way to the end, so somewhere around here. Okay, so let me add a border to this one. So border is the same thing as border is called stroke in Figma. So I'll add this stroke here. So I'm just going to take this point and place it here. All right, so now that I have that, now so this should be 120. So yeah, okay, so now that I have this, now I can copy it and paste. So Control C, Control V, right? And then I can hold Shift to move it to again like this. Okay, and then I can click back on the container and remove the background to have something like this. Okay, now The good thing is that when you are doing your design like this now, this is not good enough. What you need to add now is that the X is what signifies that this is an image. Please pay attention. The X is what signifies that this is an image. So that is why we usually put this X in front of that, to signify that okay, this is actually an image. So with this one now, I can come over to clip content, right? Such that when I now start using my corner radius, you can see that the X is disappearing, right? So that's the advantage of clipping content. So you have this, okay? So sometimes I mostly don't even use the circle again because it feels like waste of time. All I just need to have my what, my frame, give it the color I want by pressing Ctrl C or I and clicking on it, because the circle there is not needed. So if you look at my layer section now, can you see it? I just have one frame and two X. Okay, so this is a shorthand for image, right? And the reason I usually do this is that sometimes you may not do circular image, you may just do like normal square image like this. Okay, so that's why you need to put that X, because sometimes too, before I found this icon, right, before I found this text element, what I usually used before was just rectangle. So the only way for me to differentiate that it's a text and not an image is when I have something like this. Okay, and I'm sure that even when you check like some websites, so if you look at this now, you know, you can see that you have like your straight line drawn out here. So I can still do something like that with this one, right? And then maybe your time somewhere around there. Can you see now? So this is how you create your um low fidelity wireframe. Very simple, straightforward, and straight to the point. So now I'm going to share this screenshot on, or you know what, let me just get the link. So what you are required to do is that you are required to recreate the wireframe of this Revolut app. So this icon now, all if you are going to use icon and text, the code is this, or the cheat is this. Take this one, place it like this. You can put the text like this, just one line. And remember, I told you that if you want to signify icon or image, make sure that you add X. Okay, make sure you add X like this. All right, so if you don't have X like this in your icon, it's a fail. Okay, well, nobody's going to fail anyway. But so you have your text like this and then your icon like this. Okay, so I want you guys to redesign this as just a wireframe, just to be sure that you've gotten the gist. And please, when you are doing the design, please crop this part out, this, because you will get this full link, right? So just crop out this side. The way you crop it out is this: you hold control on your keyboard, left click down and drag, okay, till you get to the point you like, and then you leave it alone. Then you can now come over to what, clip content like this. Okay, why I'm able to do this is because I did place the image inside a frame. So let me take the image out, set, hold my control again, left click down and do this one. If you don't remember what I just said, what you can simply do is select this, come over to this fill image. You see where you have fill here, like click on this icon, click on this icon, come over to crop, right, and then drag this blue icon and then crop it out like this. Okay, and that is how you be able to have a very clean design. So I'm going to share this page, right, for people to use. So what you can do is just copy the file, right? Though it will tell you that unfortunately you cannot copy, you cannot edit this file, don't worry. What you just need to do is left click and light it like this, copy it, paste it inside your own Figma design, and then you'll be able to make use of it and by tracing it out or anything. The other alternative is that, let me first post this one to the WhatsApp group. Please give me a second, I'm trying to post it in the WhatsApp group. So the other alternative is I'm going to send you the actual link to the file, okay, so that and paste on the group so that you guys can also copy from. from it as well. All right, so without much further ado, we've come to the end of this class. So do you have any questions before we call it a close? Questions, guys, questions. Okay, so in the absence of no questions, thank you so much for coming. Make sure you share the video with others, like it, follow our social channels, and see you in the next one. Cheers for now.